What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video. And I have some very exciting news because a French journalist who is working for L'Equipe, which is a French newspaper, this journalist Bilal Ghazi is reporting that Memphis Depay is likely to follow Nabil Fekir in leaving Lyon in the summer. The biggest interest and the most interest in Memphis Depay was shown by Liverpool, according to this journalist, and it has Memphis Depay is having a very good season, both for the Netherlands and also both for Lyon. And Memphis Depay, it has attracted interest of Liverpool and Manchester City and other big clubs. But the journalist Ghazi mentions that only Liverpool have shown the biggest interest in Memphis Depay. And so the same report is claiming that Depay actually moved out of his house, which is worth 1.3 million, because a couple of successive burglaries have taken place when Depay was playing Champions League football, which is really sad to see. Mane and other Liverpool players had been also targeted, and many Lyon players as well. This move have sparked the interest of journalists in France and also in England. So maybe Depay is not thinking about his long-term future staying in Lyon. He is moving out of his house, which means that probably he's renting a place right now, and maybe he will sell his house already in the summer and move abroad, which is of course would be music to my ears, because I'm a big fan of Memphis Depay. I wanted Liverpool to sign Memphis Depay when he was a PSV Eindhoven player. He ended up going to Manchester United, Liverpool's bitter rivals, but he had a torrid time there. I think Memphis Depay wasn't ready for the Premier League when he moved to Manchester United, but he is now more than ready for the Premier League. And actually, one of the Liverpool players, Gini Wijnaldum, is a huge friend with Memphis Depay, because recently when the Liverpool players had a couple of days off, Gini Wijnaldum actually hung out with Memphis Depay in Lyon, and they were posting to Instagram and to Twitter. Gini Wijnaldum posted pictures of himself and Memphis Depay hanging out in Lyon, and he says, "Good to see you, bro." So they have a very good relationship with each other already, and I think Memphis Depay probably heard a lot of very good things about Liverpool from Virgil van Dijk, from Gini Wijnaldum. So Memphis Depay scored 8 goals already this season, and he has 8 assists as well, and also he both assisted both Wijnaldum and Van Dijk in the Netherlands 4-0 demolition of Belarus very recently. And that is, when I saw that, I thought, oh wow, I would love to see that happen at Liverpool as well. And I'm sure that privately, behind the scenes, Depay have talked about what life is in Liverpool for Wijnaldum. And so I'm sure Depay has talked about what life is at Liverpool FC with Wijnaldum and Van Dijk. And I'm sure that privately they have told the Depay of come over to Liverpool, and I think Liverpool are a big fan of Depay. We have recently seen so many stories where Liverpool were interested in a player and then later they bought him. Salah, Mane, Shaqiri, just to mention 3 examples where we have been linked with this player for many years, and eventually this player ended up at Liverpool. And we were heavily linked with Memphis Depay at the time when he was leaving PSV Eindhoven. And the Daily Mirror is also reporting that Liverpool are scouting and watching Memphis Depay. They missed out on him 4 years ago. He is now rated at about 40 million pounds, but let's put in a bid of like 35 to 40 million to Lyon, and let's see what their reaction is. I'm sure that Memphis Depay would love to play at Liverpool, where he would have a chance of winning big trophies, big silverware. I'm sure that Depay is dreaming of winning a Premier League title or winning a Champions League trophy. And Memphis Depay has been on fire recently for the Netherlands. In his last 8 appearances for the Netherlands, Memphis Depay scored 6 goals in total. And his Dutch manager, Ronald Koeman, said this about Memphis Depay. So Memphis is dangerous in the box. He creates goals and he scores a lot of goals. He has been vital to the Netherlands and has helped us get to the Nation League's final in June. By the way, both the Netherlands and England will be playing for a big trophy in the summer, the Nations League finals. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope that Liverpool fans, I hope that some Liverpool players can get their hands on some trophies at the end of the season. At least the Champions League and the Nations League would be brilliant. Of course, I want the Holy Grail, the Premier League title, but that doesn't look like very likely with the way that Manchester City are playing and the way that Man City ended up winning at Burnley. It was heartbreaking to see, but we will talk about that a little bit later. And I have very good news, guys. It looks like that Roberto Firmino will get back straight into training today or tomorrow, and he will be fit for the Barcelona game, which I think is very, very important because Firmino is one of our most important players if we want to deploy the high pressing tactic against Barcelona, which could be key to really getting a good result away at the Nou Camp, which I think is very, very important if Liverpool want to get to the Champions League final. And I think whoever wins the Liverpool-Barcelona tie will be favourites for the final, because don't get me wrong, Ajax and Tottenham, they are very, very good teams and they are having good seasons, but they are not as strong than Liverpool or Barcelona. So I really hope that Firmino will be fit, because that would give us a very, very good chance. And Jurgen Klopp described the Firmino injury as a small tear in a very small muscle, and it was a minor injury. So Firmino missed the Huddersfield game. Thankfully, we didn't really miss him. We won 5-0, and Firmino could be fit for the Barcelona game, which I think is very, very good news. And this is what Jurgen Klopp said: apart from the word tear, everything is positive. It is Bobby, so he might be ready for Wednesday, but we don't know at the moment. Because it is Bobby, it is rather likely than not. Of all the bad news you could get, it is pretty much the best outcome. And also Fabinho is also clear to play after recovering from the concussion. There is a concussion protocol in place in the Premier League that if you suffer concussion, you cannot play competitive football for the next 7 days. So he missed the Huddersfield game, which was unfortunate, but I think that's the best kind of game to miss for Fabinho, because Huddersfield, probably the weakest team in the Premier League by quite a long distance, actually, if you look at the Premier League table. So Liverpool were always going to win that game, and even without Firmino and Fabinho, and they got both good rests for the Barcelona game, which I think could be very, very important, because Barcelona still had to go very hard on the weekend, on Saturday, to win the La Liga title. So I'm sure that Barcelona will be in good mood to approach that Liverpool game, but Liverpool will also be in a high in confidence. We won 10 games in a row in all competitions before this Barcelona-Liverpool Champions League semi-final. So let's just forget for a moment, let's just forget the Premier League title race and let's concentrate on the Champions League, because the Champions League is still a huge competition that Liverpool could win. And I really hope that Liverpool perform at the highest of their abilities, because that's what will be needed for Liverpool to knock Barcelona out in the Champions League. Gary Neville said some very, very interesting things about the rest of the top 6, the rest of the big teams after Manchester City and Liverpool. He actually said, Gary Neville, and I quote him, "The top 2 are making the other big teams look a little stupid. They are 20 points in front of them. What the 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th teams are doing is they have probably got a decent points tally in any other season, but the top 2 are so inconsistent. They are so consistent that they are making the others look ridiculous. I just can't believe we are not going to see a mistake. They would have to win 14 games on the bounce, Man City. I can't believe it. It's absolutely ridiculous. While Pep Guardiola is at City, I don't see the quality dropping. The rest are going to have to jump up, which is a good thing for the Premier League. And also Liverpool until Jurgen Klopp is at Liverpool, I can't see Liverpool dropping to a lower level either. So these two teams could be fighting out the Premier League title race for the next potentially 2 or 3 seasons. And my only hope is that something goes wrong at Man City. Maybe some of the senior players like Aguero, Fernandinho, company, they drop down to a level, and then maybe, hopefully, Liverpool can capitalize and win the league. And Gary Neville made some very interesting claims. If City were to drop points against Burnley, he said, Klopp would look at that Barcelona game on Wednesday completely differently. He's definitely focused towards Newcastle, but if City win the Burnley game, which they did, Klopp will play his best team against Barcelona, and that's when a mistake can happen against Newcastle. I do believe there will be a mistake. That's what Gary Neville said. So Gary Neville keeps saying this, that one of Liverpool or Man City will drop points. But this is an unprecedented title race already. This will be a record-breaking season, meaning that one team with more than 90 points will finish second in the Premier League. That's now confirmed, and that's already a Premier League record. So I'm not even sure that either Liverpool or Man City will drop points for the rest of the season. My only hope is that Leicester City can do something against Manchester City, because Leicester are actually third in the form table. They have won 4 games out of the last 6, and they have only lost 1. And they played magnificently against Arsenal. Honestly, the amount of shots on target, the amount of possession. Leicester City had 73% possession against Arsenal in the first half. That is mind-blowing. So Leicester City are playing like a big team under Brendan Rodgers in the last 6 games, certainly. I think the Man City-Leicester game is probably the game that decides the title, and also the Newcastle-Liverpool game. Liverpool, I think, will now fully concentrate on the Champions League. We can't expect Man City to do us a favor, really, and with only 2 games left, it's very unlikely that Manchester City will drop points. And Gary Neville said that for Manchester United in this moment in time, 20 points, 25 points behind the leaders. It's happening season in, season out. It's not just one season, it's a pattern that has emerged and they have to correct it. But I think it would take a monumental transfer window or multiple transfer windows for either Manchester United or Chelsea or even Arsenal or Tottenham to actually get involved in the title race, because the standards at the top of the Premier League is so high. Like, it's even just a miracle that Liverpool are keeping pace with this incredible Manchester City team. And what is very, very heartbreaking to me is that in any other of the 119 seasons, apart from this season and last season, Liverpool would have been champions. So in 117 seasons out of 119 seasons of top flight English football, Liverpool would be champions. But last year's Man City team and this year's Man City team, they are the best side in football, English football history, I mean, in terms of their points return, their win ratio, and that's what Liverpool are up against. And it's very difficult for me to see Manchester City dropping points, mainly because they will be at home. But if Leicester play at 100%, they can cause an upset. Remember that Leicester City have already beaten Manchester City once this season, so let's hope that it happens again. But it's going to be very tight. And I think for Liverpool, they should concentrate on the Champions League 100% and see what happens against Barcelona. Because if we could get to the Champions League final, we would have a great chance of winning a Champions League trophy this year. I would fancy Liverpool beating either Ajax or Tottenham in the Champions League final. And that would crown a great season, even if we finish second in the Premier League. Winning a Champions League, it's always a great season for any club, in my opinion. So Pep Guardiola was asked, is it better for Manchester City to not be involved in the Champions League semi-finals so they can rest and recover and fully focus on the Premier League? And he said this, and it's very interesting. When that happens in November, December, January, February, you have lesser games. That helps a lot. That happened for Liverpool. In that period, it was better for Liverpool than us. But to be involved in the Champions League semi-finals, you are not tired. You do not feel any pain. That is a better position to be in the semi-finals. The toughest months in this competition are December, January, February, when they had 2 weeks in training camps and we had to be here playing every 3 days. That is a big advantage for the opponent. Man City bounced back, I think, from going out of the Champions League because they just kept winning in the Premier League. And that's what champions do, to be honest. And that's why they probably won the league last season in the Premier League, because they are just so good. He said, Pep Guardiola, the most incredible thing was that we beat Tottenham at home 3 days after the defeat in the Champions League. They showed me the character, the personality, the team we are, the players. They don't have to do anything else to convince me. They want to win this title. If they didn't, we wouldn't have done what we have done. It is always difficult against Burnley because of the way they play. They play in such a special way. It is the end of the season, the last few games, and everyone feels the pressure to win the games. So we are going to prepare for the Leicester game as well, and we will have to try to control Leicester's strong points. At this moment in time, I don't think Liverpool should focus on how the Premier League title race is going, because honestly we can't do anything else than win our games, and we have won a lot of games in a row now in the Premier League. And let's just try and concentrate on Barcelona. Let's forget the Premier League, because against Barcelona I think we have as good a chance as ever in our history to knock them out. Yes, this is one of the greatest Barcelona teams, and Messi is doing incredible things this season once again. But Barcelona's defense is vulnerable, and what is a very good thing for Liverpool is that Barcelona didn't come up against a high-pressing Liverpool side so far. Barcelona haven't played a team like Liverpool this season. They won't know what hit them, honestly. When Liverpool will be high pressing Barcelona's backline, Barcelona's midfield, they will be very uncomfortable with that. And it showed even against Manchester United, when Man United went to the Nou Camp and pressed Barcelona high. In the first 10 minutes, Man United had like 3 very good chances to score. Barcelona were very uncomfortable with that. Of course, when Barcelona got out of that high press and they scored a goal, it calmed them down. It probably knocked Manchester United's confidence down, and it was a different game. But I think for the first 10 minutes, if Man United can make Barcelona look very nervous and very fragile at the back, imagine what Liverpool can do to them. So that's why I'm so excited, but also so nervous for that game at the Nou Camp. And Ravel Morrison said that Sadio Mane is the best player in the Premier League this season. He also added, I don't want to hear nothing else. I'm not even sure. It's very difficult to say outright who is the best player in the Premier League. If you look at the numbers, I think Salah and Mane both had amazing seasons. And now they are on 25 and 24 goals respectively, I think. So I really hope that they both can actually score even more goals in the Premier League and end up as the top scorer. Aguero now has 20 goals in the Premier League, Mane also has 20, and Salah has 21 goals. So the race for the top 4 will be as close and as exciting as the race for the title. One of the journalists, I think it was Matt Lowe, suggested that this title race was boring to him because both teams kept winning games. How can you say that when there is 1 point between the two teams throughout the second half of the season? And it has been brilliant watching each side cope with the pressure and cope with the different challenges of different games. I personally think this has been the best title race that we had in years. Can't you remember last season Manchester City walked to the league title? They were like 18 or something points ahead of Man United in the end. So how can you say that this title race is boring? I just don't get it. I just don't get that guy. But yeah, it's all about opinions, football. You can have a different opinion. Let me know, do you think this has been an exciting title race? If you are not a fan of Manchester City or Liverpool, let me know. I think this has been gripping, grueling, exciting, nerve-wracking. You can go on and on about the superlatives. I love this season. Even if Liverpool end up as second place team, it has been a joy to watch this Liverpool team. But let me know what do you think about that in the comments below. And thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. See you later. Goodbye.